Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video, and I hope this will help for anyone in the future that wants to replace or change their illumination light bulb inside the Ford Falcon key barrel surround. So I think the Ford Falcon AU, the earlier models, have a very similar setup, but definitely on my BA Falcon I can talk from experience. Okay, so what I found was the original bulbs very dull. They tend to burn out as well. They're kind of a twist lock type of a bulb called a T4 Neo. But what I have found was that the T5 aftermarket replacement LED replacements actually do fit, in the sense that the head of the LED can be transposed. If we can get this to focus, there we are. We can get that to actually fit inside the T4 housing. So it's a little fiddly, so that's where I'll just show you guys step by step. Here's one that I prepared earlier. We can see that LED sitting in there. So what we have to start off with is the backing cover needs to come off. We can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, these little just retaining clips holding the back cover on. Not a lot to it. I found for me, easiest way was to actually go through, get a small flat head, place them inside the little opening around each of these black tabs, twist, and you hear that little click. Do this one here as well. Perfect. Third one. Ah, that was meaty. Very nice. We seem to, there we go. Freed ourselves. Lucky last one. Perfect. Okay. Now from here, when we finished bumping the camera, you may find some of them relocate in. You can just pop that open again as needed. Very good. That should pry apart. Just be careful, of course, as you go. I'll show you in a moment. There are some tabs, but not a lot to it. So there's just a couple of these metal prongs. You don't want to be reefing on this in any direction, but that's essentially, yeah, some of the circuitry and our bulb in question, or the actual housing for it. Very easy. With the flat head, we can just twist. That does unlock it from its position, and you can give these a little bit of a encouragement to come out. So being that this one has never been removed in its life, it can be a little bit fiddly, but as of course anyone that likes to DIY always likes a bit of a challenge, which is very, very good. So we'll very gently try and get underneath from both sides, relieve some pressure. Bear with me here, guys. There we are. And there we are, perfect. So coming out now, you find that this will just come out of the slot. Beautiful. So that's where we've got our halogen bulb. And what I find is from this point going forward, when we look on the back, and if I can get this on camera, there's these metal prongs, one finishing the positive, one finishing the negative. So what we need to do is actually release the metal prongs that are inside. Once they're released, the halogen bulb will actually come out, and we can replace that with an LED variant. So let's just see if we can remove. I found for me, easiest way was to try and, fish out. It can be very fiddly. I'm trying to fish out the metal prong from the top face over here, because generally I found it was a little bit tough to try and fish that from the back. So fishing that from the top here, let's see how we go. Give that a bit of gentle encouragement. Here's one I prepared earlier. Here we are. Of course, under the pressure, it's a bit of a hot day today as well. Getting nice and sweaty. My apologies, but with a little bit of encouragement, we can get these out. May just pause the video, guys, for a moment, so that way I'm not taking up too much of your time. I'll be right back. Excellent. And I know everyone will have a bit of a different way to go about this. Here's one side completed. Ooh, get this to focus. So one side completed. The other side, I thought I'd just show my experience in case it helps anyone else with basic tools. I actually put the whole base flat on the table, on the work area, and what I found worked for me best was being able to brace that downward. The flat head was able to then grip under the wire and basically pull it up and out, and that's just about it. That's the hardest part done, just about. So that just folds out, and from here, once we get these in a relatively straight position, if we give this a bit of a push, the bulb will just pull straight out. Excellent. Alright, so we can pop that aside or pop it in the bin, whatever you need. So that's the holder, and where I found these T5 replacements, they also have the same positive and negative terminals. So generally what I find here easiest is just pushing these down flat in one motion. Oh, there we are, focusing. Pushing that down flat, flip it over, get to the other one, do the same. Pull it out just to be able to grip it, and then get that to focus, and then pull that down flat as well. So with both of these pulled out flat, again we can then just push the two, pull from the top, again, there we are, just been seated quite tightly. Give these a bit of a push. Just careful not to stab yourselves like I just did. There we are, so just a little bit of a wriggle, and out we go. So that's where we have our two resistors. Excellent. From here, I found the easiest way to proceed isn't as simple as placing inside the standard holder and twisting into place. I found this particular version of LED, the 5050 SMD I believe, was a little too wide to clear the housing, unfortunately. So what I managed to get lucky with is if we place this from the top down, this is where it gets a little fiddly, and I do apologize for anyone with bulky sausage fingers. With that placed inside from the top down, now we can actually go through and with a little bit of patience actually slot through the two holes through the two wires here. So I found it was a little fiddly having to maybe brace the LED from the top, and so it doesn't push through as you're trying to slot these in. Trying to line up the holes. With a couple attempts. There we are. So that's just gone straight through, passing through the resistors. Excellent. And of course there are little locating tabs. A little hard to see on video in this lighting. There's one of the tabs, and of course we have the same on the other side, 180 degrees apart. So we can very loosely and gently slot the base of the holder in. Not too much though, we do want to have a bit of a gap like so we don't want it to be seating flush down. And I find from here, easiest was to start one at a time, bending the wires like in the factory position. So I'll see if I can just demonstrate this. There we are, it's a good angle. So we have our first one and the second one. And I find, again, if you can try and brace the LED from the outside while doing this. One finger maybe from the outside there holding the LED down. Oh, there's the LED. Just holding that so it doesn't push out. And from here, as simple as pushing down, squeezing right underneath. I'll go sideways slightly. And then just bringing this back up. No real tools really needed at this point, I found in my experience. We're able to slide that under and around and then back over the top. We'll do the same on this side. Now, just like LEDs in other applications, they are polarity sensitive. So I find if in this first position, once things are all seated like so, and we can see that this is where the wires, they contact, there's a little metal strip, positive and negative. So at this point we can go through push down, so then it makes the contact. Unfortunately, if we've got it around the wrong way, we'll just have to go through, take the holder out, flip it 180 degrees, and then of course go through and install it back in, and then it will work. So we'll see if we get lucky. I've just pushed the base in, we'll give that a little turn to the right to lock it in place, and let's just see if we can get that slightly, there we go, perfect. So that's in place, and we can replace the back cover. We just want to line up the 5 holes with the 5 here, 5 pins. Once that's in place, we can get this in place. Gotta love it, guys, gotta love it. My apologies, there we go. And we'll just very firmly and easily click these tabs into position, like so. Beautiful. We'll give it a pause and test fit it in the car. See you guys in a sec. Thanks again, guys. So once you're back in your car, you can just very briefly test the connection. You just plug it in and it should light up straight away if your interior light is on. Hello, thumbtacks. And then, just as you normally, of course, would have, a dimming effect and locking the doors, that will turn off, and then pressing back on again. Beautiful. So at night I find the light disperses quite well. Being quite a bigger LED, it does a good job of dispersing the light. And here's the one that I'd prepared earlier. It's like a very cool white, almost like a day white type of LED variant. For me, this is the one that I always opt for, generally because I find it has the kind of freshest look. But of course, I know some of the certain models of Falcons out there have, like the blue backlit, dash and speedo. So I guess the blue would match. However, no wrong way to go about it, but I find this will just be a nice freshen up, matching the rest of the LEDs around the place. Thanks for watching, guys. Any questions, feel free to leave some comments below. Not looking to make any funds off this video, but I just hope that this helps for anyone out there that really wants to freshen things up and do something a little different to factory, rather than just replacing just a factory halogen bulb. This will be, over time, perhaps the LEDs draw a lot less heat, and probably will damage this area a lot less. I'm not sure if that's what had started happening here in this spare one that I've got. Perhaps it was just because it was sitting around in a junkyard. But again, if you place the lot in and plug in and it's not turning on, as I mentioned, you can just slightly loosen the base holder, flip it 180 degrees, reinstall it, tighten it in again, and you should be going. It should be good to go. Awesome, guys. Thanks again, and stay safe, drive safe, and hydrate. Don't forget the squats.